It was a chilly winter morning in New York City. A prominent businessman was en route to a meeting, cruising through bustling streets filled with people hurrying to their destinations. The cold air cut through the city as his car wound its way along busy avenues, when suddenly something unexpected caught his eye. At a street corner, on the sidewalk, sat a man. He was wrapped in a torn military jacket and a frayed blanket, and beside him lay a cardboard sign in bold letters that read, "I am a veteran. Please help." Without hesitation, the businessman instructed his driver to stop. Turning to his security detail, he said, "I want to know who he is." Stepping out into the icy wind, the businessman walked toward the man. Curious glances followed his every move as he approached. The man flinched at first when he saw the businessman, but he remained seated. In a gentle tone, the businessman asked, "Hello, what's your name?" The man looked up hesitantly and replied in a hoarse voice, "My name is John Miller." Kneeling to meet John's eye level, the businessman's gaze softened with calm empathy. "Tell me your story, John," he said quietly. John tucked his trembling hands into his warm blanket and took a deep breath. In a tired, shaky voice, he began, "I'm a veteran. I joined the military when I was 22 and served in Afghanistan. We faced unimaginable challenges during our missions. I lost friends and fought every day just to survive. But the worst part wasn't what happened on the battlefield. It was coming home and realizing that nothing was the same anymore." The businessman listened intently, his expression growing more somber with each word. John's voice faltered as he continued, "I was badly injured during one mission. A blast took my friends, and I'll never forget that moment. When I returned home, I received medical treatment, but my soul wasn't healed. My family abandoned me, saying I was a burden. I lost my job, and when I couldn't pay my debts, I lost my home. One day, I found myself on the streets cold, hungry, and utterly alone." Tears streamed down his face as he added, "No one offered a helping hand. I once fought for this country, risked my life, and now it feels like no one even sees me. People pass me by as if I'm nothing more than a ghost." The businessman's serious, empathetic expression spoke volumes. Still holding his blanket tightly, John continued, "Last winter, while I was sleeping on the streets, the man next to me froze to death. When I woke up, he was still wrapped in his blanket. I called the police, but it was too late. I was a Vietnam veteran, and what scares me the most is knowing that one day, that could be me frozen and forgotten." John's tearful eyes searched the businessman's face as he whispered, "I gave everything for this country, but now my life is completely in the dark. Sometimes I ask myself, why did I survive?" Taking a deep breath, the businessman's voice was steady yet filled with emotion. "John, a man like you should never be in this situation. You gave your life to serve this country, and yet, this country has failed you. This has to change, and I promise you, it will." John stared at the businessman in disbelief, a flicker of hope mixing with his pain. "Really? Would you do this for me?" he asked, his voice trembling. Without hesitation, the businessman replied, "Yes, John. You fought for this country, and now it's time for this country to fight for you. This is just the beginning. The darkness will end, and together, we'll make it right." For the first time in what felt like years, tears of hope streamed down John's face. This wasn't just a helping hand. It was a lifeline. The businessman wasn't merely offering assistance. He was shining a light in John's darkness and giving him a chance to believe in a better tomorrow. The businessman pulled out his phone and immediately instructed his assistant, "Book the nearest hotel and get a doctor on site." Then, turning to his bodyguard, he added, "Get a hot meal for John." Sitting down next to John, the businessman placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "We're going to make you comfortable," he said. Within minutes, the bodyguard returned with a steaming bowl of soup and a sandwich. John hesitated for a moment before taking a bite. As he chewed, his eyes welled with tears. "It's been so long since I've had something warm to eat," he murmured softly. The businessman stayed by John's side, offering words of encouragement and ensuring he finished his meal. An hour later, a sleek black SUV arrived. The businessman gently helped John into the car and personally escorted him to the hotel. There, John was shown to a private room where a warm shower, clean clothes, and a soft bed awaited him. For the first time in what felt like forever, John experienced a sense of dignity. Later that morning, the businessman met John at a beautifully set breakfast table in the hotel dining room. "John, I've put together a plan for you," the businessman announced with a smile. "There's an organization called Veterans United that helps homeless veterans rebuild their lives. I'm going to connect you with them, and I'll personally cover all your expenses for the first year." John's eyes widened in disbelief. "Really? You're doing this for me?" he asked, his voice thick with emotion. The businessman nodded warmly. "Yes, John. You served this country, and now it's time for this country to serve you. This is the least I can do." That day, John met with a representative from Veterans United, who explained the resources and support available to him: housing, job training, counseling, and everything he needed to get started. The businessman even handed John a check from his foundation to cover his immediate expenses. Overwhelmed with gratitude, John managed to say through tears, "This feels like a miracle. I never thought my life could change so quickly." As the businessman prepared to leave, he turned to John and said, "One day you'll have the chance to help someone else. Our world becomes a better place when we extend our hands to one another." Now tearful but determined, John looked at the businessman and replied, "I promise one day I'll pay it forward." Facing the camera, the businessman addressed the viewers with heartfelt sincerity. There are so many people in need in this country. Let's not ignore them. Even the smallest gesture can change a life. Sometimes, all it takes is one person to be a beacon of hope. Remember, we all have the power to make a difference. The story concluded with scenes of John beginning his new life, moving into a safe home, preparing for work, and smiling with hope for the future. He finally had a place to call home, a renewed sense of purpose, and restored dignity. This is proof that a single act of kindness can transform a life forever. If this story moved you, please share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications for more inspiring stories. Together, let's spread hope and kindness.